So what happens when a bunch of high school students successfully demand the right to be completely, totally undisciplined? Now, this isn't just some story about teenage rebellion. Oh no. It's actually a fascinating allegory for a much, much bigger debate. Where exactly does our personal freedom end, and where does our responsibility to everyone else begin? Okay, let's get into it.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First up, we'll see how this whole demand for undisciplined freedom even gets started. Then we're going to explore the pretty deep spiritual beliefs that are actually driving these characters. After that, we'll tackle the tricky question of how you find the truth when your own point of view might be, well, a little messed up. And finally, we'll see the fallout and what the story calls the School of Hard Knocks.
So, picture this. Our story kicks off at a school assembly. The principal's up there trying to talk about the usual stuff, students eating in class, being on their phones, but one student has a very, very different take on how things should be.
And that student is Diesel. He's the one who lights the fuse here. He gets up and basically reframes the whole conversation. He says that these basic school rules aren't about order. Nope. They're an attack on the naturally given rights of students. He truly believes that any rule that gets in the way of what his body wants or needs is just a form of oppression. And boom, right there, that's the heart of the entire conflict. On one side, you've got Diesel arguing that if you ignore any instant, anything from wanting a candy bar to needing to sneeze, you're causing yourself psychological harm. But on the other side, you've got Evan, and he's arguing that, the whole point of becoming an adult is to develop self-control and learn that, sometimes you have to ignore your own urges for the good of everyone else.
Now, here's what's really interesting. Diesel's call for freedom becomes this kind of rallying cry. But when you look closer, everyone's fighting for something different. For Diesel, sure, it's about snacks and phones. But for another student, Rev, it's about needing to stretch his body. And for Abby, it's about feeling like her right to religious expression is being shut down. They all want freedom, but it's for their own personal reasons.
And faced with this, united front of students, the school actually approves an experiment. For 1 week, all rules are gone, suspended. The students get exactly what they demanded, the absolute right to be undisciplined. So the stage is set. What on earth are they going to do with all this freedom?
Okay, so the experiment is underway, but things get way deeper. Because this conflict isn't just about kids acting out. It's actually rooted in these two totally clashing spiritual worldviews. And as the chaos starts to build in the school, we start to see what's really motivating everyone. So Evan and his friend Evelyn introduced this idea they call the mystic light force. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like the Force in Star Wars. They believe that if you practice self-discipline, you kind of clear out all the selfish junk in your soul, making room for this wise, positive energy to come in and get you in sync with how the universe is supposed to work. So the story lays out two very clear paths. You've got the disciplined soul, which is all about actively cleaning house to make room for this holy flame. But then you have the pride-filled ego. And the ego is all about me, me, me. It just wants pleasure right now. It basically puts up a wall that blocks out that higher wisdom. And in Evan's view, Diesel's entire philosophy is just about feeding that ego.
And then there's Abby. She offers a third path, which she calls her ABC method. And it's a doozy. It's simple, but also kind of dangerous. Step 1, she assumes she has a clean slate, no matter what she does. Step 2, she believes her savior will take care of any negative consequences. And step 3, she creates a world for herself based on that belief, basically choosing to ignore actual reality.
Evan's comeback to Abby's philosophy is what keeps the story grounded. He uses this super simple lottery analogy to make a huge point. Just believing something doesn't change the laws of cause and effect. You can believe with all your heart you're gonna win the lottery, but if you don't actually go out and buy a ticket, well, good luck with that.
This brings us to a really profound part of the story, and it comes from this character, Rev. See, he's not an extremist like Diesel or super certain like Evan. He's kind of stuck in the middle, and he's genuinely just trying to figure out what's right, and that leads him to a huge personal dilemma.
Right in the middle of all this chaos, Rev asks this incredible question. He's starting to wonder, what if I'm the one who's wrong? And if I am, how would I even know it? Think about that. If the very tool you use for thinking is broken, how can you use it to figure out that it's broken? It's a total catch-22. Evan's answer here is just brilliant. He uses this analogy of a corrupted computer.
A computer with a virus can't run a scan and fix itself, right? It's just going to keep giving you error messages. It needs an outside force, a reboot, an antivirus program to get fixed. Evan argues our minds are the same way. A lot of the time, it takes a huge shock from the outside world, like hitting rock bottom, to finally force a reset.
And that's exactly why it's so hard. Your own flawed thinking actively hides the truth from you. It's like you've got blinders on. You can't tell the difference between good advice and bad advice, and you have no idea who you can actually trust. It's usually only looking back after that reboot that you can finally see where you went wrong.
So the story presents us with two universities for learning life's lessons. There's Soul School, which is the one you have to choose to enroll in. It's the gentle, proactive path of study and discipline. But if you refuse to sign up for that one, you get automatically enrolled in the School of Hard Knocks. That's the default path, where life teaches you through pain and tragedy instead. Which brings us right to the end of that one-week trial. The students chose their path. They went all in on unchecked freedom. So now, let's see which university they actually ended up enrolling in. And the result is, well, probably what you'd expect. The school is a complete disaster, a total wreck. There's trash everywhere, graffiti on the walls, and any sense of order is just gone. The experiment in absolute freedom led directly to absolute chaos.
And this is where Evan really drives the point home. He connects the physical mess they're all standing in directly back to those flawed ideas from before. Abby's belief that consequences could just be ignored, well, it didn't stop the consequences from showing up. Diesel's belief that discipline was oppression, yeah, that led straight to this total failure.
And this is the most crucial point. They didn't have to end up here, but by turning their backs on that gentle, gradual way of self-discipline, they defaulted straight into the curriculum of suffering. They are now officially students in the School of Hard Knocks, where the lessons are painful and you can't skip class.
And the story leaves us with this final, really powerful question. It takes the whole allegory and scales it up from one high school to all of our society. The students' experiment fell apart because there was zero accountability. So the story asks us to think, in a world where we think we can get away with things, where consequences seem far off, what really motivates any of us to choose discipline over our own desires? And that is a question worth thinking about.